Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Glassgirls Network fan podcast. And I know what you're thinking. Hold on, I haven't tuned into an episode of Match of the Day here. Why is it looking ever so professional? New camera, new mic. What's going on? John's been working very hard behind the scenes to make sure that the Glassgirls Network looks as splendid as possible. And I think you've done that. And you're John with these mics.
Well, thank you. I had someone come up to me the other day saying, "Oh, I thought that was at the club." Oh, no, it's at my home here in Stourbridge. So yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
There we
good to
go.
see.
Yeah, and obviously, got everything going for us. Plenty to talk about as well.
One thing we haven't got going for us though is DG. So
Correct.
yeah, DG, everything's okay. DG has got a lot of things going on away from football at the moment, but still chats to us every day. Still comes out with his jokes. We'll probably come out with his name once or twice in this episode as well. So he'll be back very soon.
Yes, fear not, all you DG fans out there. I know there's plenty of you.
DG lights. There we go.
Yes, yeah. So let's get straight into things, shall we, John? Let's skip the waffle, skip the ramble. Let's talk about this man on our screen right here. He has obviously joined Meg's coaching staff. Stevie Campbell, I think is his name. I don't know if you is it double barreled? Is it his middle name? I don't really know.
But I don't
know. Stevie, we're gonna call him Stevie. He's joined the coaching staff. And he's joined us from, I believe, Gwalia, which is a team in Wales, if you weren't aware. And he comes with a big reputation in the women's game. He's got his
UEFA
license?
Yeah.
Which is obviously an amazing thing to add to Meg's coaching staff. And from what I've seen, he's already, and what I've heard as well, he's already had a bit of an influence on the sort of ins and outs of the team. Definitely made his mark early on, which I think is probably a good thing. Like it seems to all be pushing in the right direction. Obviously, wants the best for the team, wants the best for all the girls. It's just another person to add to Meg's bow in terms of the coaching staff that she has on offer.
Yeah, absolutely. You always want a difference of opinion, someone who may not be necessarily in your network, and it's a brand new face, isn't it? Someone, as you say, is well qualified in football, and obviously now is women's football, which is hugely important, as we see sometimes people come across from the men's game, and it might take them a few weeks to settle, if not a few months. So if he has come from the women's side, obviously that's a bonus as well. It's also someone completely new who doesn't know Stourbridge, which can work for you and against you. However, sometimes if you're a Meg and you're surrounded by people who are just say yes people, you'll never learn. Whereas if Steve is coming with like a different way of looking at things, so long as that relationship's okay, then it's only going to improve Meg, and hopefully Meg will improve Stevie as well. So they'll both grow together. So yeah, seems very vocal on the sidelines. I think that's the first thing I noticed at the Kiddy game, which we'll talk about shortly. Vocality is obviously there, which is good. I always like to see people vocal on the sidelines, getting messages on there early, and he's definitely doing that, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think what you say there is quite important as well, because chatting to Meg, I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, but they've not seen eye to eye 100% on everything so far that he's had a little look into. So he suggested some things, she suggested some things. They might have clashed in opinion, but ultimately they've worked things out, and they've come to a sort of solution that fits both of them, I guess.
I think you need to have disagreements.
Yeah, definitely.
I think disagreements is massive. Not disagreements is I hate you, I'm not going to speak to you again. I hate the word clash. So not like that. Just a difference of opinion, I think.
Yeah.
And we've seen some of our golden era. One person thought this, one person thought that. Just find a compromise. Just find a way of making it happen. Because ultimately, if you can get these two people working together, the results will be there, whether it be on the field or off the field as well. So, yeah, two qualified people that we've got now. We've got someone who loves the club in Meg Bailey, who's come through the ranks and doing really well, by the way, up until this point, even without Stevie. And now we've got a UEFA qualified coach who travels a long way to be here as well, by the way. Hopefully it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, do you think it's sort of very important that he's here with experience? Because obviously Meg, it's her first senior job in management, and the coaches as well, a lot of them are young, sort of up and coming coaches that wouldn't have had that much first team experience at all. Where with Stevie, he's been around the game for a while already, and he comes with that experience straight away, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think Bailey's having any issues with any of the players or any of the people around her, because I think she's surrounded by a lot of people that respect her anyway. However, if you were to bring in maybe an older player who's been there, done that, then maybe that's where you might lean on Stevie a bit. But look, we're just guessing at the moment, but it's definitely good bringing in that experience because he will have more years of experience managing and coaching, I would think, in the women's game. So he can obviously feed on that experience and make and learn off it.
Definitely, definitely. And as we talk about ins, I think we need to talk about outs as well, don't we, John?
We do.
Unfortunately, one of our star players this season, Darcy Cartwright, has switched to the other red and white team in the local area. Darcy Cartwright has gone to Kidderminster Harriers, which is a massive blow for Stourbridge because she has been, if not our best player, definitely one of our best players this season. Obviously, we know what she's got. She's got bags of pace. Started to find her feet in terms of scoring goals and creating chances as well for her teammates this season. And yeah, it's a real challenge to see her go, isn't it?
Massive, yeah. Look, I think I was going to begin this show, Kieran, by showing clips of the last episode.
Yeah.
Because the last episode we were saying so many positive things, and then since then we had obviously we lost to Kiddy. Kiddy won 2 out of 3 games.
Yeah.
Northampton won 3 on the trot, and it was all getting doom and gloom. And then obviously this happened. One of my favourite players, I think it was our leading goal scorer at that point as well.
Yeah.
It was definitely a negative. Look, you could always bring somebody else in to replace somebody else. I thoroughly get that. But Darcy, for me, had a lot going for it at the club. And the bigger picture is, again, why are people deciding to leave? At that point, we'd already had the Kidderminster game, which we'll talk about shortly as well. Maybe it looked like Kiddy was on the way up, Stowe was on the way down. And maybe that's one of the reasons why she chose to go there. But for me, massive loss. I did message her privately, wishing her all the best. As a Stourbridge fan, it hits hard because it's a player that I liked and who I thought was good and who was worthy of being in Tier 4.
Yep.
But I also know that she's going to be surrounded by some good coaches there, a bigger badge. So if Kiddy get it right, that will be a sustainable Tier 4 side for years to come, and she can be a part of that. So I'm glad that she's gone somewhere that I'm familiar with, and that I think she'll be okay there. But a big hit for the Stourbridge fans, I think.
Definitely, yeah. And for me, it's just a frustrating one because obviously I've got Stourbridge bias. I'm always going to have that no matter what happens. But for me, it's a case of I think she can prove herself a lot more remaining at Stourbridge till the end of the season than she can currently at Kiddy. And that's not to say she won't do well at Kiddy, where she's at now for the remainder of the season. But I think that putting in a shift at Stourbridge, potentially keeping them up when it looks like Kiddy might already be safe. There's not much danger of Kiddy Harriers going down this year, I wouldn't imagine. But Stourbridge are obviously right amongst that equation. So if she can, drag them out with her goals and assists and things like that, it for me, if I'm someone looking from the outside of that, I'm thinking, this Darcy Cartwright is a player that is decent for this level.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously she's gone to Kiddy. There's reasons outside of football that she's gone to Kiddy as well. But yeah, wish her all the best. It's a shame. Hopefully when she comes down to the War Memorial again, she doesn't do too well. But every other time apart from that, hope she smashes it because she's a really, really exciting player. Only what, 18 years old? It's crazy. I feel like she's been around. Yeah. She's been around for a while because obviously she was one of our only ones that we retained for this season. So it feels like we've known her for quite a while now. But yeah, bags of potential with her. Really, really excited to see her footballing journey blossom a bit more. And yeah, I'm sure she'll do it at Kiddy under Fish and Harry and all the guys there.
Speaking about Kiddy.
Yeah, speaking about Kiddy, let's talk about it, shall we? Obviously, the Kiddy Harriers game over at Droitwich. We were very, very hyped going into this one, weren't we? Because Kiddy were on a downer. I think after a few poor results for them.
At least it's been that way. I mean, we didn't know that for definite, but from an outsider looking in,
But yeah, we were also on and up. Obviously, it feels like the trajectory of Stourbridge this season is going up and up and up, which is obviously a positive for us. And in games like this, you go into it feeling like you can definitely get something. But yeah, that wasn't the case. 1-0 full-time result. Shauna McCann-Lloyd, a player that we also know very well from last season. yeah, a quality player. Let's talk about her for a little bit because obviously she was at Stourbridge, had a bit of time out of the game after that. After that, obviously she left the squad. Can't even remember what month. It wasn't too long into the
Before
season, I don't
Christmas.
think. Yeah. But yeah, she did. I thought she played decently for Stourbridge. I quite liked her as a winger or a striker. But yeah, she's back in the area, back playing for Kiddy Harriers, and yeah, I mean she's showing a class. I think she's a very good tier 3 player, let alone a tier 4 player. Yeah, I think she has the ability to absolutely tear up this league, and I think she's shown it so far, isn't she?
Yeah, I think that game that we played, Kiddy against the Harriers, kind of showed what Kiddy were lacking. They were lacking that power, that bit of strength and determination, a bit of fighting, a bit of grit. You might have the fight in the heart, however, have you kind of got those players that really get stuck in, and
Yeah,
Shauna does that. And we saw it from the get go. I think she played up front in like actual centre
yeah,
forward
proper
with,
number 9.
yeah.
Yeah,
She was, really chasing the other defenders when the defenders had the ball. Good powerful header as well into the roof of the net. I
mm,
know the goalkeeper got a hand to it, but he was never going to save that. But yeah, just that, I wouldn't say ugly side, but a bit of an aggressive side, a
yeah,
controlled aggression. And she wasn't the only one, by the way. I mean, there was other players in that Kiddie side on that day that really thrown the weight around a little bit. And it's what Kiddie missed, and it's what they needed to do to win Stourbridge. Because, like, as
definitely.
you say, going into that game, Stourbridge, in my opinion, and we said it on here, and we said it in front of the Kiddie people as well, I generally thought Stourbridge were the favourites going in. We knew it was going to be tight. And there might have been favourites going in, but of course the favourites don't always win, do they?
No, as we've
Um,
learnt in Cheltenham this week.
yeah, absolutely, with the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, so good to see Shauna back. I'm glad to see her back. I think someone with that talent needs to be playing football. And a good goal for them, and a good performance for them as well.
Yeah, I think exactly what you say there about Kiddy needing to win ugly.
Hmm.
Not playing beautiful football, just doing what needs to be done to get the 3 points, and that is exactly what they did on the day. To be fair, they
Yeah,
came with a game plan, they executed it very very well, limited us to very few chances, and yeah, got it done. I think even some of the stuff, even the bright sparks that we've noticed during the season so far, just weren't there for Starbridge on that day. It seemed
no,
like a bit of an off day for everyone. We've highlighted the midfield that we've got and how brilliant they've been. DG's very very open about that when he's been talking to us about that game, that they weren't at it. Your Bellas and Ellas just didn't seem at it on that one. And it can happen. Everyone's
yeah,
human, but yeah, in a game of that magnitude, you'd like us to step up and potentially take something. But
hmm
yeah, as I say, I think Kiddy came with a game plan to make it horrible, to make it nasty, and they did that perfectly. And they've got the prize to show for it.
I think touching on that midfield, I think credit to Andy because he put the extra CDM in there, didn't it,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of stunt Ella and Bella from playing their usual game. I think obviously if they haven't studied them players before, all we have to do is like listen to our channel, and we do bang on about those quite a
yeah,
lot, don't we?
yeah.
And he done his homework. Obviously, that he watches footage night in, night out. I know he does. And yeah, they done something different, which really made us play against what we would usually do. And DG mentioned we was playing a lot deeper. I don't know if that was forced upon us or if it was tactical from our side. I don't know, but yeah, we just weren't at our usual selves. And if we were, it might have been a different game. But obviously, that's credit to Kiddy for stopping us play the way that we usually play.
Yeah, definitely. And that extra DM for Kiddy was Izzy Whittick, who we've obviously known as a fullback for quite a while. So I think
Yeah,
just simple stuff like that, right? Just throwing a little spanner in the works, before a game that no one seems to expect.
yeah.
I think it has a little part to play, doesn't it? Because,
Mhm.
you've come into a game thinking, oh, this is probably how they're going to line up. And then you see a fullback in midfield and you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, we saw it at Agborough, didn't we? The first time that we played versus Fisher at Kiddy at Agborough a couple of years ago, or last season, sorry. He put Sophie Levy as a sweeper. We played that extra player at the back at Kiddy,
Yeah.
and which kind of stopped Stourbridge from playing. So yeah, and that's what they've got in their arsenal. They do know what they're doing in that way. And we was talking about Stevie earlier. If Baylor was having difficulty trying to figure that one out, as an example, you've now got somebody else who can say, well, how about we try this? How about we try that? Someone who can look at the game and change the game within a couple of minutes of looking at it. And hopefully this is what Stevie can do now going forward.
Definitely, yeah, yeah, we can hope. Also in that game, unfortunately, we saw an injury to Demi Phillips, which It was a bit of a weird one, right? Like
Mm.
it just almost came out of nowhere. I can't remember exactly what she's done off the top of my head.
Mill Rogers, well, Mill, bloody Mill, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
One of
yeah.
the old
Bill
Glassgirls.
did what she does brilliantly. Obviously, used a bit of her physicality on Demi, and I think she just sort of went over on her leg or did something funny down there. And yeah, she wasn't in a great way at all, and obviously had to be substituted, and is still out currently. Obviously, she's moving around a lot freer now,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's still a fair way for her to get back into football.
Hmm.
Which is a shame because she's been so good this season. It's been her first year of playing proper first team football for Stourbridge. Obviously, we've seen her play fullback. We've seen her, get on a little bit more up the field. And yeah, she's been really, really good, hasn't she?
Yeah, massive shame because, like you say, she's on that what a form, and it would have been a game. Well, it was a game that she would have wanted to play in and win.
Yeah,
And she's got history with Kiddy and the Harriers herself. Obviously, Mill's former teammate. But I think that was just it's just one of those things, isn't it? I don't think there was anything malice in it. It was more of an aggressive kind of. Mill was like that all over the pitch,
yeah, of
especially
course.
that first half. She was being very physical, a lot like the other Kiddy players. They wanted to probably bully him, and I'm sure Mill didn't want to injure her, but unfortunately, the collision did cause an injury. But as you say, Debbie's walking around the club okay. She's not on crutches anymore, I don't believe. She is still walking around okay, but it might be until next season until we see her as a guest. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget what she's actually done to us. It's something to do with her leg. But yeah, hopefully makes full recovery, and we see her back potentially by the end of the season, but definitely coming back stronger
Hmm.
next season, hopefully with us as well. And then we move on to the Leafield game,
Yeah,
the midweeker. We love a midweeker on
we
the
do.
channel. It's always a great occasion, no matter the team, even if it's not Stourbridge playing, we love a midweeker because it's just a time for everyone to get to a ground and watch a game of football, and you see people that you haven't seen for ages, and if they're not training, players are down from other clubs as
Yeah,
well. And yeah, it's just a really, really good time. Um, Cornwall, FA Women's National League, bring in more with midweekers because we need them.
yeah,
But this one, obviously against Leafield. Leafield's been our midweeker that we've got given this season. And yeah, obviously it's one of the toughest teams that you could
yeah.
play anyway, let alone in a midweeker. So um, yeah, this one ended 4-0 to Leafield, which isn't a terrible result, obviously, considering where we are in the league and where they are in the league.
Hmm.
They're a really, really good side. We know loads of their players really, really well.
Yeah,
Especially, the first half as well. I thought we really, really dug in deep. And I think it was only 1-0 at the break as well. Leo Joyce got that first goal, I do believe.
yeah.
We'll touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, obviously going into the second half, it was an horrible night as well. It was,
Elton down.
yeah, I think if it had gone on for any longer, I think the ref would have had to call it because the ball in certain sections of the pitch was just like it was like you're kicking a stone.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, so yeah, a horrible night. Conditions weren't great. Obviously Leafield, good outfit. Obviously loads of talented players there, and I think they just started to show their class throughout the course of the game. And our substitute bench as well was only 2 man strong with two 16-year-olds from Baylor's under 16s, under 18s that have never made a first team appearance before,
yeah, yeah,
which is crazy. But yeah, they came on, obviously did all they could. Nice to give them a debut, nice to give them a chance. But yeah, 4-0 in the end. One of them, innit?
yeah. It is. Yeah, I think that was kind of where the lowest that we've been. You might argue Barnsley, although that Barnsley score might have flattered them, which we'll talk about as well. Look, I think as a whole, as you rightly said, we looked forward to this game not because we thought we was going to win it, because it's always going to be difficult against a team that's chasing for promotion when we're towards the bottom of the table. But looking forward to it because obviously Tash Tesco will come back. I'm not going to name every player that plays for
Yeah.
plays for Leafield just in case I miss one out. But there's a few players come back, so it's nice to see them who stayed over afterwards to say hello again. You mentioned Leonie Joyce, had a good conversation with her after the game, and she scored. I think she's done unbelievable since she's left Stourbridge,
Yep.
as we knew she would. Leading goal scorer Bolmere, now at Leafield. What a great signing for Leafield. She is. Yeah, I think, as you rightly said, I think the first half was a little bit tighter, but then Leafield's experience showed, but certainly nothing to qualm about there. and just the youth of that side. So
Yeah.
at full time, Halo drenched. Obviously, she was drenched. Still had the time to have a good 10, 15-minute conversation with us, just discussing like the average age of of that team. And I'm sure it was under 18. I think it was more 16, 17-year-olds than any other age there.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise how young Sham was until she told me. And there's so many.
All of
Just was
them,
really
like,
good.
yeah, even if you're thinking of a Stourbridge player, they're probably at least 2 years younger than what you reckon they are, because
Yeah.
even though they've been around the game quite a while, some of them, yeah, they're still so young, and
We'll
it's
have
just crazy.
we'll have to like try and get that information off Bailo and just see like just so we can read them out. Like every squad, every player that's played for us this season, just read out the age. Because I
Yeah.
mean, like Liv Owen like, is younger than I thought she was because of her experience in Southern
Yeah,
Goldfields. I just presume she was older, but she's not.
no,
So
mad.
no, I know. So it's worth highlighting. Look, we lost the game, and you can talk about, oh yeah, that they're using this as an excuse. Not an excuse. It's just the position that we're in at the moment. We have got a lot of youngsters, which would be great if Baylor could keep them together, because they will hopefully reach their potential together. But yeah, it's a very youthful National League side
Definitely.
who's arguably never played in the National League before. A lot of those players haven't.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's many in the National League system that haven't a younger average age than
I'd love to
us.
figure it out. I'd love
Yeah,
someone
it
to
would
do
be
that.
great
Yeah, yeah.
if we could get some sort of stats on that, because I genuinely do believe that we probably have the youngest squad in the National League, and the fact that they're not down and out by this stage already is a testament to everyone, to the players, to the management, to the
Yeah.
coaching, everyone. Yeah, they've done really, really well. Obviously, we speak to Bailo loads. It was so tough for her to recruit in the summer because of what's gone on in years
Yeah.
prior. So yeah, she's picked up these players who believe in her vision, that ignore that background noise about what Stourbridge was, or what Stourbridge, potentially still is. And yeah, she's just cracked on. Got a really, really good bunch around her. It's not just good players. It seems like a tight knitted group as
Correct.
well.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, absolute credit to her. Credit to all the girls for sticking this one through. Obviously, we know a lot of them have could have easily been swayed. We saw it last season when everything sort of went wrong in tier 3. How many of them jumped ships when things weren't 100% right all the time. It's understandable why they do that, but I think it takes a certain type of character to stick it out and get through the tough times to hopefully see a reward at the end of it.
Oh, yeah, let's just touch on that very quickly as well, because we saw Harriet Grimshaw last season, our goalkeeper. She stuck it out for the whole season. I say the word stuck it out because that's like a negative way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But even though we were losing pretty much every week, she, our goalkeeper, didn't have to be at the club. She could have gone pretty much any other tier 3 side out there.
Yeah.
And she chose to stay, and I think that done a reputation really well, because it shows
100%.
it does show loyalty, doesn't it? And she ended up being the player of the league, not just player of the team, player of the league. So I understand like players may not want to get relegated, and I can thoroughly understand that. You don't want to walk off the pitch on that final game knowing that you've contributed to having your team relegated. But on the flip side, when you got to this stage of the season anyway, if that team does end up getting relegated, then you have contributed anyway, haven't you? So
Yeah.
even if you haven't contributed the full 22 games because you leave after 19-20, you've still made that contribution. And I think coaches and managers will be aware of that. So I'd hate people to leave just because they don't want to have relegation on the CV.
Yeah.
Because I think clubs will know how many games you played for a losing team anyway.
Definitely. And for me, if I'm a manager looking at that, obviously you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're a bad egg, you're a bad egg. And if you've got negative traits, there's not much that can be done about that. So for me, sticking with it and resilience and the attitude of keep turning up no matter what's happening, that almost speaks more than if you're a good footballer to me, because that is the standard then, isn't it?
Yeah. I would like to finish off though on the flip side to that. If you're unhappy, I don't think anyone should be at a club where they're unhappy.
No,
so if they're just jumping ship because they don't want to get relegated, that's one thing.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If you're in an environment where you're not happy, etc., then good luck to you and well done to you. I think we should just mention that. But if you're just talking about leaving because you're going to get relegated, I think that's wrong to do.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we followed it up with another loss as well, that Leafield game. 5-1 against Barnsley away.
Mhm.
I wasn't at the game. I didn't fancy the trip up to Barnsley, to be honest with you. It's not a place on my bucket list. So yeah, 5-1 away. Yeah, again, not a great result, but Barnsley are one of those teams, right? Like when we played them down at ours, they looked nothing special at all. Obviously, it was the game where the Kate Dealey ghost goal
Oh, that was, yeah.
that occurred, and that could potentially, now we've got a bit more context of the season, that could potentially cost us big time not getting anything out of that. But I said nothing. I said nothing. National League. But yeah, obviously we've seen them a couple of times as well struggle against lower placed teams than themselves, and we then have this idea in our head that we can definitely go there and do something. But I think they are a lot better at home in recent time than they are away. So going to their place, obviously losing 5-1. When you look at it on the league table, obviously they're right up there. Obviously not compete for the title or the playoff place or anything, but almost the best of the rest.
Yeah.
They're definitely up there. So yeah, it's a disappointing one, but yeah, considering the league table, it's not too much you can argue with, I don't think.
No, look, I think we will go into some games in the future, and Worcester being one of them, which we'll talk about, even though they're higher in the league, because we've had good um, matches against them previously this season. We can feel confident, and I think
Yeah,
there's a reason why we should go up to Barnsley and feel confident. But I do think our squad now, going into the next games, into the future seasons, sorry, future matches, is stronger than Barnsley. So the Barnsley game. So yeah, look, it was always going to be a tough game. I don't think it's one that you can get disappointed about. I think it's just one of them where you just move on, and we did, didn't we?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that we did, to be fair. Also, shout out Liv Owen, to be fair.
Hmm.
We've heard rumours. We've not seen the video. We've heard rumours of an absolute wonder goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has the video of that, we'd love to see it on social media. But yeah, apparently it was a 40-yard absolute
Again,
worldie.
yeah.
So yeah, she's got a few of them, to be fair,
I'm
hasn't
sure
she,
she
this
scored,
season?
yeah, like the first 3 or 4 games. I'm sure because my dad says it was a good
Yeah,
goal. It must have been a home game. I can't remember who against now, but I'm sure that name with a goal,
I
with
think
a
it could have
great
been
great goal.
was it the Leicester Academy we
Oh,
played in
might have
the
been,
in
yeah.
the
That would
group
make sense.
stage?
Why I can't.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, obviously
Free kick, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
maybe
I can't remember.
maybe obviously good to see her get a goal though. Keeps the confidence in her
Yeah,
high, I suppose. But
yeah. Leadership
yeah,
as well.
obviously she wouldn't want to concede 5 goals, but scoring a screamer, you can't argue with that, can you? But yeah, she's one player that has really really done well this season, hasn't she? Because
Yeah.
obviously, we've not had it all our way defensively. There's some really really good attacking sides, and you can't just blame one defender for every goal that's conceded. But yeah, personally, I think she's had a very very good season. Obviously, she came with a bit of a reputation in the league,
Hmm.
a good reputation. Obviously, been at Sutton for a number of years, but yeah, coming into us, taking the captain's armband as well
Right away. Yeah.
again such a young age, because you don't expect her with the name that she's got and how long she's been around. You don't expect her to be as young as she is, and yeah, there's a bit of weight on her shoulders, then, isn't there? But yeah, I think she and Erin and Sham and anyone who's played alongside her at centre half, I think they've really really done well, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the Lincoln game, which we'll talk about in a second as well, shows how good that defense was. I know Lincoln are a weaker opposition, but I'm on about like when they're actually on the ball, and how composed they looked. So they had, yes, they had a bit more time because maybe Lincoln weren't pressing them as much as maybe other teams were. But I do generally think that Lincoln game, we saw every defender that was on that pitch do really, really well,
Yeah.
attacking wise and getting stuck in as well. So, but yeah, Liv, one of the contenders for player of the season for me, and I'm sure on this channel we'll have a fans player of the season,
Yes.
which we've done every year. So we'll continue that, and she'll be in with a shout, won't she?
100%. Yeah, she's in the conversation definitely,
Yeah.
because yeah, I think the way I mean, she's got that Tilly Phantom about her, hasn't she? She loves a slide challenge, absolutely loves a cruncher, which is one of them that gets the crowd off their seat, gets the team a bit more motivated. And yeah, you love to see that. She's very good on the ball as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's got a great pass on her. Obviously, a great strike on her as well for a goal. But yeah, I think she sort of encompasses what Meg probably wants from a defender. In that she's strong, she's a bit ruthless, but she's also very good on the ball and allows you to have that other aspect of you don't always have to go long. You can play it to your centre halves and sort of play out from there, which is really really good tactically. But yeah, obviously from that game as well, we want to shout out Poppy Joe in goal. Obviously we only had the 2 subs again. The squad was very depleted for a couple of injuries and players being in and out of the squad for whatever reason. But Poppy Joe as well, obviously, I think might be a debut. I can't remember. We've swapped the goalkeepers a few times. I think maybe
I
did
think
she
she
play
played maybe once
Notts
at
County
home.
potentially?
She might have had a home game earlier in the season.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
or an appearance.
yeah, but she's not played a lot of football for the first team anyway.
16?
Yeah, she's Balo's keeper in the youth team, and
only 16. I think Charlotte Witt's only 17.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about these ages, but
Mad.
for goalkeepers in
Mad.
tier 4, is what I'm saying. It's such a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Great for her to have the experience as well. Obviously, not the scoreline she would have wanted going into the game, but that first team tier 4 experience,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference to a player, I think. And yeah, as we say, the squad was looking a bit depleted, wasn't it? So 2 subs there, 2 subs against Leafield, and they're all your 16, 17-year-olds and without any much experience. So we had a look into the old transfer market, see who was available, and our good friend Aid Clements, he did us a little bit of a deal, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. So if you want to scroll on, John, I think is it the next one?
Oh, we got.
Oh, here they are. Here we are, straight on it. Yeah. So we got back into the swing of things with signings. Jess Hood, Daisy Clements, back to the Royal Memorial Athletic Ground. Obviously, names that Stourbridge fans will be very, very familiar with. Daisy joined in our first Tier 3 season under Mike.
Yeah.
Played sort of the second half of that year. And then obviously under her dad, she played the full year last year and was, one of the standouts. She scored a fair few goals for us, fair few wonder goals as well. And yeah, she's an absolute asset to have at the club. Jess, I said it on Saturday when we were watching them. I don't think we saw the best of Jess Hood because I think she's a very, very good technical player. However, in Tier 3, where she played previously, I think you just need to have that something more, which I don't know what it is, but it's a rare thing to find. And I think being in and out of the team with injuries and squad rotation, we never really saw Jess have that. But give her a bit of confidence in a Tier 4 side. Obviously, both of them were playing in Tier 5. God knows what they were doing down there. Far too good for that level. But yeah, get them in a Tier 4 side against defenders that are of a lower quality than they are in Tier 3. And I think they can. Well, I don't say I think. I know. As from Saturday, they can both cause some serious damage. But let's talk before we talk about their performances on Saturday. Let's talk about how good it is to see them back. It's nice to see familiar faces through the door, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, took me by surprise this one because I can understand why Tier 4 players would go to Tier 5 at this stage of the season because you'll get your extra game time at the end of the month. So, the final National League game is at the end of April. The final regional leagues is at the end of May, so I can see why we saw Daisy Clements do it last year. She joined Ready Sport on a dual contract, so you can elongate your season by another month and play another 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, we've seen Gwen obviously do that. Leafield announced that Gwen Horgan from last year's Stourbridge side is going to join Aids Redditch Borough at the end of the season, isn't she? For just that little last run in.
Yeah, and keep your eyes open for Redditch Borough because they've got someone else doing exactly the same, just not been announced yet.
Yes.
So, but for us to go the opposite way, completely caught me off guard. And I said that to Bailo, I wasn't expecting that. I know she was keeping an eye open for players because we are a little short now, especially losing April to an injury, Demi to an injury, and Darcy to Kiddy. So I understand she was on the lookout. Never given a thought it would be these two, which was a great surprise when I found that out. Great to see them both back because they're here for one reason, and that's to support Bailo. And I think that's credit to Bailo with her friendship, or at least her relationship, with A. Clements. And it might be a friendship, I don't know, but it's certainly a good relationship, isn't it? So good to see. And touching on Jess, she kind of shared that winger kind of role last season with Sean McCann. So one time it was Sean McCann, sometimes it was Jess Hood playing on that side,
Darcy was there as
Darcy
well.
as well. So there's a lot of rotation. So we didn't see an overload of Jess. But don't forget, when you're in tier 3 against, we weren't the best in tier 3, were we? So when you're up against other tier 3 sides, as a striker, you're hardly going to get the ball.
Yeah.
So I think your main attribute needs to be something like just either holding it up or being able to running behind. And you can't even do either of those because you're probably outnumbered. And the defenders are just too quick anyway. So you say you need to be something slightly different. Yeah, you do. You need to tick pretty much every box because these tier 3 players, they're one step away from being full time. So these tier 3 players who Jess was against last year and Daisy, who was against last year, the only difference between them and the championship side was probably the fact that they're not full time, and probably because they can't choose to be full time in some cases. So, yeah, massive difference between obviously tier 3 and tier 4 and tier 5. But great to see them both back, and good to see.
Yeah, definitely. And they weren't the only additions as well. Obviously, after that,
Sophia.
we invited. We signed. I suppose we did invite them back in a way. Sophia Thorny Crofts. What a great last name. 2 great last names we've signed here, by the way, because Tara Appleton is our other signing from MK Dons.
Yeah.
Here she is. Here she is on the board. So she's coming from MK Dons. Sophia's joined us on loan from Wolves, I do believe. Let's speak about Sophia because she has obviously a history with Stourbridge. She was. I'm surprised you haven't put in the picture. Yeah, I was just thinking that there's a great picture of Sophia when she was part of the junior teams supporting. And Mill Rogers, when she plays for Stourbridge, has gone over to celebrate with them after a goal or a win in a game. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's a fantastic photo, and you can see Sophia right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just that's testament to the pathway, I guess. Even if she's not directly made it through the first team from the Stourbridge Academy,
that was so it's part of our under 12s, wasn't it? When G was there. And I've always said this, I've said it to DG as well, some of these players who decide to leave us at the age that they do, the aim is for them to grow to grow themselves and to improve themselves to the point where hopefully they'll come back one day. And, yes, I think Sophia is only 16, 17, isn't she, as a guess, but so we can't expect too many big things of her just yet. However, isn't it great that, I think she's played for Bailo as well, by the way, because obviously Bailo would have been G's right-hand person back in the day as well. So Bailo will obviously know her. It just occurred to me. Yes, of course. So Bailo will someone know what she's getting from her. But yeah, it's just a bit of a morale boost for the fans as well, for people who like to see that kind of stuff, like us, who's followed them in the past. We've probably watched her play if she was part of the 13s, 14s, 15s over the years. We probably watched her play on a Saturday morning. Obviously, can't remember, but it's good to see him back.
Yeah, definitely. And she came on obviously sort of the last 10, 15 minutes of the Lincoln game for I suppose a first team Stourbridge debut. Obviously didn't get to see a lot of her because it was comfortable by then anyway for us. But yeah, from what I hear Bailo's obviously sort of raved about her. She's really glad that she's here. She's a midfielder who can offer something different. She's quite a tall girl for her age, to be fair. I guess you're comparing that to our other midfielders. But yeah, quite physical, good on the ball, sort of an attacking threat, definitely. And yeah, someone that potentially offers something a little bit different in midfield because, to be fair, we are light on midfield. You look past that 3 of Ella, Bella, and Kate Dealey, and there's not a whole lot of proper first team ready. Obviously, we've got Frankie on the bench quite a lot of the time, but considering first team ready players that you want to play week in, week out, there's not a whole lot going there midfield wise. So yeah, great to have her here. I had a bit of competition for those players as well, and yeah, good to see her back in red and white.
It's also one of the Bailo players, so someone who's come for Bailo. Obviously, I'm sure the player would like to come back because it's Stourbridge, but also it's someone that knows Bailo. So if the worst was to happen and we were to get relegated, this player would still probably be happy playing in Tier 5 and she's just not going to jump ship. So, this is potentially someone for the future who Bailo could continue to develop.
Hopefully, yeah, definitely. I think that's important, isn't it? Because we speak a lot about, the worst case scenarios. As fans, you always do, right?
Yeah.
And obviously relegation is the worst case scenario, but I feel like we have a group here who obviously you've got your better players who are more than worthy of playing in top end tier 4 sides
Mhm.
in our squad currently, but we have a whole lot of players that I feel would be happy to take that step down because it means they're still in an environment that they enjoy,
Yeah.
and they're still obviously being managed by Balo.
And some of them might not actually be ready for the National League yet.
Yeah, definitely.
So they'll be okay getting some wins under the belt, a bit of confidence in tier 5, and then who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's important, isn't it? Just like a season of growth. If you're a 16, 17, 18 year old, you're not all going to be ready. It's a rarity that they are ready for
Yeah.
the National League, and I think we've been really, really lucky that we've been treated to a number of them that are clearly quite ready.
Mhm.
But yeah, they've done really, really well. But just looking towards that future, that long term plan, I think it's important that we've got a group of girls who are committed and, from an outside looking in, looks like they're willing to
Yeah.
stick it out and see the long term vision of this project. Yeah. So yeah, Tara as well. Let's talk about her just quickly.
Mhm.
Fullback from MK Dons. Yeah, so again, I think she came on exactly at the same time as Sophia, so didn't really see much of her. However, she made an impact on the game because she scored from a little corner. It was bobbling around. I'm not sure how much she actually knew about the finish, but poked a leg at it,
Yeah.
and it flew into the roof of the net. So yeah, one game, one goal. You can't argue with that from Tara, can you?
No, absolutely not. A couple of great captures, by the way, from Falcon Stud Photography,
Yeah.
Anthony, they're getting them celebrations. So it's always good to see those and look back on. Yeah, look, I think she played, 4 times for MK Dons last season, 2 this season, or vice versa. So she's been in and around the National League environment, which is great. And yeah, she's probably coming here to get some game time, hasn't she? And she's going to get it, hopefully.
Yeah.
With obviously Demi being injured, maybe that's some sort of
I guess so.
a potential there, maybe. But yeah, she's here for a reason, and let's see if she enjoys herself under Bailo. Could it be made permanent? Not too sure. Not too sure where she lives.
Yeah.
If she lives too far away, or I don't know about that. But there's always got to be a reason for someone to move that distance.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly where she lives. So maybe we can find that out. But I think you've got to credit anyone to travel to Stourbridge when they're in a position where they are for probably little money, and they choose to do that. So maybe it's game time, and let's hope that we get to see more of her. Maybe another goal or two.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say no to that at all. But yeah, I think she adds, like you say, that little bit of cover to the wing. But is that her celebrating that? No, that's Daisy.
That was
We'll get
Daisy's
onto that in a
hat-trick.
second.
Yeah.
We will get onto that in a second. But I think it's important to highlight again. We've said with the midfield, we looked a bit light there. I think with fullbacks as well. Obviously, as you mentioned, Demi getting injured. We have obviously Ella Shaw. Who's our other fullback?
We could play Erin out wide or Shab. They're quite versatile in that sense, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. But
yeah.
we're not overly blessed with fullbacks in the squad at the moment. So to add another one who looks decent from what we've seen so far.
Just increase the squad a little bit because we haven't got too much, have we?
Yeah, and now we're at a position where the bench is I've never seen so many players on a Stourbridge bench. Obviously the lineup came out yesterday. Obviously it's usually just 3 or 4 names at a max. I think we had about 6 easily.
It's fun.
It was absolutely lovely to see. It's good to have the options as well because in a game when you've got 2 subs, there's only so much you can do tactically. You can't if you've got 2 defenders, you can't chuck one of them on if you're chasing for a goal really. But yeah, obviously if you've got the wide scope that you can pick from, it's definitely a good thing, isn't it? And add something else to the game, bit of unpredictability, switch up the formation, change the personnel around, and hopefully a few more goals for Tara. I wouldn't mind that one bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Speak about a few goals.
Yeah, speaking of a few goals, let's talk about Daisy May Clements, shall we? Because she is someone that scored a fair few goals for us. I'm not sure she scored many under Mike's time with us, but definitely under age, she was essentially our top goal scorer that season. I know Leo got a few. Maybe I'm not sure off the top of my head. But hey, she's already catching up Darcy Cartwright already with this season. I think she's definitely our top scorer this season. But yeah, give it a few more games. I think that's going to be surpassed because Daisy, Lincoln at home, only grabs herself a hat trick on a debut. It's one of them. She's done so well. Obviously, we know what Daisy's about. Give her a ball in behind. She will chase it every single time. Flip it into the channels, put it over the top of the centre halves. She'll chase it. The keeper's looking a bit dodgy. Don't know what she's going to do. She'll press her. She'll go and track her down and win the ball back. And yeah, it's brilliant to see her back because the goals that she was scoring, and let's not forget, by the way, she could have easily had about 5 or 6 that game.
Yeah.
Couple of good. But yeah, the goals that she was scoring, it's just what you want to see. She's been played in behind a couple of times from the midfielders feeding her balls, and even the first goal where Erin picks out a fantastic ball into the channel to find Molly Mae Summers, and she clips it across the box. Daisy's there, beats every defender to the ball because of course she does. She's one of the fastest players on the team. And yeah, starts off. That was only first 10 minutes as well, 15 minutes. So a great way to kick off her debut. Scores a second one as well in the second half, and I think the third one came. I think the second one she rounds the keeper, and then the third one is a decent little finish as well. So yeah, it's great to see her back, but also great to see her scoring, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think what impressed me the most, which I've never really seen before, the second half, it was right in front of where we were standing.
Yeah.
So I could kind of see a little bit more, I guess, and just how quick her feet were. So when you think that she can how she quickly tracks down a defender and gets the ball off a defender, so just literally tackling defenders. That was one thing that really impressed me. 2, how she won the ball back, still stay composed to pick out a pass. 3, how quick her feet were. So when she did have players around her, she could kind of dance around them. And this was towards the end of the game as well, so where you think she might get a bit tired. But I think just literally just the speed and technical side of things that I've never really looked at before.
Yeah.
And it shone loads in that Lincoln game. So yeah, great to have her back for a number of reasons. But that's what I missed then, that clinicalness. And I'm not saying another player couldn't have scored 3 goals, but Daisy was the one playing and she scored 3 goals for us. So
definitely.
And thank you to Rich Clark, who mentioned that this was the first hat trick
since Niamh Deasy and Lois Jeffries, where we beat Long Eaton.
Yes, well
16-1,
yes.
I believe I've got that message.
Tier 4 or Tier 5 then?
That would have been Tier 4 because they got relegated the year we went up from Tier 4. They were right at the bottom.
Yeah,
a
while ago.
Yeah, it was definitely a while ago. Been a fair few years since we've seen a hat trick for one of our girls, but yeah. It also sparks up the age-old Daisy Clements debate. Where's her best position? Because we've seen her play as a wing back, we've seen her play as a winger in the 10. We've seen her play up front now as a number 9 for us. I feel like we're running it back to about a year ago, but John, where's her best position?
How can you say anything different? Her best position is where she's going to get on the ball the most.
Yeah.
So let the manager decide that. If you want to play wing play or whatever, then put her on the wing. If you want to play through the middle, put her down the middle.
Yeah.
But what she does do is she scores goals anywhere around the D. What we saw last season in the box. Look, I think you look at the players that we've got now. You're probably going to be playing Jess Hood out wide, aren't you? You got Mull out wide.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jess Edwards even started out wide to
make way for Daisy. Yeah. So look, can you change what's happened already?
Yeah.
But I think other teams will be wise to it. So they might do something about it, maybe man marker or put 2 people on her. But either way, I think Daisy can, without putting too much pressure on, Daisy's going to have a good game, isn't she? So no matter what they do.
Yeah, she almost seemed to change the way we play as well, because obviously nothing against April Maguire and Mole, who have played at striker, but pace isn't their game. They're very much a hold-up player, give and go kind of striker. Whereas with Daisy, what I noticed, the tempo of the whole game seemed to change attacking wise. It was very much quick touches, quick passes, trying to find that little bit of space to dart into. And
good relationship with Jess as well, by the way. So she's been playing with Jess for a couple of years now. Obviously, they've known each other a lot longer. Sorry to interrupt there, but they played together last season. They played together all this season. Just having them 2 come on who kind of know each other, it helps, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. You could see it sort of linking up. Obviously, Jess played on the right, whereas Daisy was still up front. and they were linking up lovely.
Yeah.
It was really, really good to see. It was like we were watching Stourbridge every year ago.
Yeah.
Um,
But our other players don't know each other that well. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're doing a little bit now, but like there was all kind of thrown together last summer. Some of them are still new now, so they haven't really got that relationship. Whereas probably some of them probably have now over the season. However, they've got a better relationship because they've been together for a very long time. So
Definitely.
that little thing like that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to her as well because some of you may have seen it on the Stourbridge channel. She was subjected to a bit of weird abuse. It's a strange one. Not really too sure what the idea was behind it, but just something that you don't want to see in the game. And she definitely silenced all the doubters and the haters, or whatever you want to call them, with that. Long may it continue as well, because she's obviously a quality player for this level, and hopefully she can drag Stourbridge to where they need to be.
And nice to see so many people jump on it in defence as well.
Yeah, definitely.
From all over the Midlands.
Exactly. So yeah, shout out everyone who did that. So let's talk about this league table then, shall we? Where does these results lead us? This is so exciting. I love it.
It's all about March.
Yeah, March. Baylor says it herself. March is the big month. And there's no doubt in that, is there? Because it's an absolutely massive month for not just us, for everyone who's around us in the league. Obviously you can see us there in the relegation zone, but obviously the first number there, 16 games played, compared to Kidderminster's, Sutton's, and Northampton's 17 games played. So you win that game in hand. Obviously it's a tough one. I believe off the top of my head, the run-in is 2 games against Peterborough, Sheffield, Northampton at home, Worcester
away.
Is there one more in there? There's got to be, right? I can't remember. Who's the other one?
Peterborough, Sheffield.
Boldmere. Is it Boldmere?
Boldmere, yeah.
Yeah. So that's our run-in. Obviously some really, really tough games in there. Peterborough twice. It's just one of them. You're not going to expect to get much out of that, but we'll go there and we'll play to our strengths in that game and to the way that we think we can get a result, because you're not going to bop Peterborough off the park playing like you did against Lincoln. It's obvious for anyone who knows football.
You can't be naive as well and just go forward, because Peterborough will just pick you apart. So
absolutely.
You can't be naive. So you got to be up for it, but there's a difference between being up for it and going all out attack, knowing full well that they're too good for that, hence why they're at the top and we're not. So
definitely,
you got to be very careful.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, some of those games though, as we mentioned, Northampton at our place, arguably definitely the biggest one of the bunch.
Yeah.
We won them away.
We won them.
We did beat them away, and if we win that game, obviously we're behind them still on goal difference, but we do leapfrog your Kiddy Harriers and your Sutton Coldfields with an extra 3 points there. Worcester as well. We've seen Worcester a few times now. They're a weird outfit, because they look great sometimes and then they look really not great sometimes. So it'll be really interesting. Obviously being played at Six Ways, their home. It'll be interesting to see how that game pans out. And Sheffield as well. Again, a team similar to Barnsley in a way. They pick up a weird loss here and there, a weird draw against some teams that you potentially expect them to beat. So that's down at ours as well. That's rearranged from a couple of months ago where we had rain or snow or something like that. So yeah, that's going to be a really, really interesting one. That travel as well isn't going to be fun for them coming down from Sheffield. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's going to be a hectic March. Bailo said it herself. March is everything.
Yeah.
7 to 9 points is the aim. We've got 3 already.
Yeah.
And we're just looking on. What do you think's going to happen, John? Give us your verdicts here.
Well, look, it is Northampton and Worcester. It's those 2 games that we'll be looking at really.
Yeah.
To get points. It's not all over if we don't get the points there. What I would like to do is have enough points on the board so that come the last game of the season, we can rely on Kiddy to at least try and do us a favour.
Yes, because I play Sutton Coldfield. Yeah.
So look, our last game of the season is Peterborough away. We don't really want to be going there hoping to get a result.
No.
However, before we play them, we'll have played Worcester and Northampton. So we can potentially get points on the board, knowing full well that Sutton still have to play Lincoln, so you still expect Sutton to get at least another 3 points. But if we can get 18 points or more going into that final game, it's in our hands. Well, I say it's in our hands. It kind of is, because it's as simple as that. Would Kiddy fancy themselves against Sutton final game of the season? Absolutely. It could be the other way around, by the way. Sutton could be the one relegating Kiddy Harriers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to think not. We've worked hard as a fan group here to try and keep Kiddy and Stourbridge up this season. Obviously, we've got friends in both camps. Do I think that we can get some points on the board? Yeah, I do think, because when we played Worcester at the start of the season, I admit everything changes, but our team's changed a lot since then as well. So, can we get a draw against Worcester, if not more? Yes, it's going
Definitely.
to be very awkward, but yes. Can we get another win against Northampton? Of course. I know that they've changed a little bit since then, but I can't see why we can't go in there with a bit of confidence, especially after that Lincoln game, especially after our new signings. And who knows, there might be one or two more surprises along the way as well at this point. So yeah, I see points on the board. I would love it to come down to the final game, because that means that if it does, that means that we would have got points on the board before then. And this is going to be a crazy final game of the season, isn't it?
Let's just talk about it quickly, because it has a massive, massive bearing, and it is one of the most mental things I've seen in women's football for quite a while. The Sutton Northampton game from last week, a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah, obviously. So if you don't know the story, it was Sutton winning, Northampton winning.
I can't remember. Sutton winning 1-0.
Yeah, Sutton winning 1-0. Into the 92nd minute, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of their players goes down with a nasty injury.
One of the Northampton players,
goes down with a nasty injury. And the game's abandoned. It is what it is, I guess. If the injury's that bad, then it needs to be abandoned at that point. Personally, I don't really agree with that decision as a whole. I think you're 92 minutes into a game. Surely you see out the rest of it at that point. But that's the decision. If that's the decision in every game that is played, then it is what it is. What I definitely don't agree on is the unfairness of the outcome of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this game is now having to be replayed. I don't know when it's scheduled for. I presume in a couple of weeks, maybe. But this game is now being replayed, whereas a similar situation happened to Doncaster. I can't remember exactly who they were playing. Doncaster, the Bells. They were playing someone, and a very, very similar situation occurred. And I believe, was it Doncaster given the win in that one because they were winning at that point?
I can't remember.
There was a decision where one of whoever was winning was given the 3 points, which is a murky place to be, because you've made that decision for one team. However, in another team, you've completely gone against yourself. And I know that there might be other factors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the ins and outs of both situations. There could be other factors that affect that decision. But from an outsider looking in, with no real statement given as to why, as well, from the National League, it looks dodgy, to say the least, right?
I've always said things like this, we should know what should happen before the game's even kicked off.
Yeah.
And maybe it's in some sort of handbook, rule book somewhere, that if the match is abandoned, no matter what time it is, or give us times, like if it's abandoned after 75 minutes, for example, this is what would happen. I would always like to think that something like this, the outcome would have already been decided. You don't make it up on the spot.
Yeah.
So just to play like devil's advocate, I'm pretty sure that Northampton, who were losing 1-0, and also having a player down as well, by the way, there was a player down, would also, they wouldn't want this match to abandon, because an extra point could keep them up.
Absolutely.
So maybe the rule book is something along the lines of both teams have to agree on it, which is very tough for Sutton Coldfield. I know Sutton have appealed it, and they've got reasons to do that, I'm sure. If there's no black or white, like we says, if there's no black or white in regards to no written documentation saying this is what could happen or what would happen, then yeah, of course Sutton can appeal it. But if I was Northampton facing relegation, I would absolutely want to replay it, because
of course you would.
They could turn around and say, yeah, well, we might have scored in the last minute, but more importantly, they've got another 90 minutes now to keep them up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand why Northampton would push hard, and if they have, then that's probably the reason why it's being given the way it has. But
Definitely.
massive bearing.
Yeah,
Massive.
it's crazy. I don't really understand it. If anyone has a better understanding, obviously let us know in the comments. But yeah, it has a massive impact on the whole league, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Let's talk about some of these topics then, because we've been waffling for over an hour now, and DG's not even here, so I don't know how we've
What's
managed
going
that. But yeah, look at that. By the way, first of all, let's just admire the Stourbridge FC kit for next year, celebrating 150 years of the club being founded. It's gone back to sort of a burgundy colour, which is what the old Stourbridge team would have played in. Yeah, it's a beautiful little thing, isn't it? Obviously, hope and glory of the manufacturers, the mint technology. I'm not sure I'm 100% sold on the colouring of the mint, but that's their branding, so it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, it's a lovely little kit, isn't it, John?
It is, yeah. I like the thicker stripes. So always prefer the fatter stripes than the thinner. As you says, burgundy and not red. Every 2 years, these things happen out there.
Yeah.
They'll get a new shirt out. I was really impressed with the third. I really like the Black Country
Yeah.
third strip. I don't know if we've even wore that or maybe we haven't.
I don't think so.
I don't think
No.
the women's team haven't. But yeah, so it's a good way to get a bit of extra money in. 150
Definitely.
years. It's good that they've gone back to the burgundy for this 1 year. It all makes sense. But it's a nice design, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely,
It's good to see.
and obviously the club are in a bit of a not a financial situation, but the finances are always in need of a little bit of a boost. There's a little GoFundMe going on right now, where you can is it the floodlights need
Floodlights,
replacing?
yeah.
You can put some money towards the floodlights replacing, which is obviously a massive part of what makes the
Mhm.
football club able to hold games in. So yeah, if you want to do that, the links are all on the Stourbridge socials. But also, if you want to put a bit of money towards the club in another way, they are offering, I think, is it £150 for your name to be inscribed on the shirt,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Obviously, you'd get the shirt, and obviously your name would be literally printed on it for the players that are wearing it, which I think is really cool. I'm
Do we
seriously
get the Glassgirls on there fitted on there?
potentially. I'm seriously debating doing it, because I mean that's like a once in a lifetime thing, right? Having your name on a Stourbridge shirt. Yeah, for me that's really cool. So if you want to do that, the links are all on social media. Yeah, it's all about just helping the club any way possible, not just the women's side, but the men's side and the youth teams and everything like that. Support where you can. Obviously, it's our local club, so you want them to do well and thrive no matter what. So yeah, if you can give anything, feel free to. But yeah, John, let's go on to this last segment then, shall we? Because we've had a little bit of a brainstorm of what we can do, and we want to do a little segment at the end of pretty much every one of these fan podcasts. We're calling it the Glassgirls Network Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, indeed.
Wow.
Wow.
What an
So,
idea.
yeah, I wonder where we've had that from. So every month we are going to be, well, every episode, which is roughly a month, we are going to be inducting one entrant into the Hall of Fame. John's going to start today. He's going to pick one. I'll pick the next one, and then if DG's back or any other guests are back, they are more than welcome to have their two cents and chuck a name into the Hall of Fame to be immortalised forever. Yeah, John,
Yeah.
kick us off. Who are we going with? The first ever Stourbridge Glassgirls Network Hall of Fame inductee.
So this can be anything to do with the women's section. So player, coach, manager, volunteer, any club official, anything to do with the women's section. So I've decided to go back to where it all began for me. So this player typifies the reason why I'm here and still here. Someone who loved to enjoy herself, someone who loved the club, someone who went through a very tough time in her life before she found Stourbridge, and Stourbridge saved her. Someone that I still speak to now, someone who is very fantastic with the fans, fantastic with the kids, someone who used to be a coach at the team as well. We have gone for a Miss G Thacker.
Yes, very worthy.
What a photo, by the way.
Yeah, that is after we won Tier 5, right, at the Dell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
what a great photo that is.
Look, there's many reasons why you can go for G. But I think when you talk about Hall of Fame, you got to look at certain things. You got to look at how many appearances that they've had, what impact that they've had on the club, um, just as a person as well.
Yeah,
Maybe what impact the club has had on them as well.
yeah.
You think of what she brought to the club and what she brought to us. This is obviously the Glassgirls Network Hall
Not
of
just
Fame.
on the pitch, but the wider scope as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I remember the first before the Glassgirls Network was around and before I began watching Stourbridge Football Club, it was very hard to get content,
Yeah,
especially visual content and videos. So if you typed back in the day, if you typed in Stourbridge women's football team into YouTube to try and find anything, any bit of information, you could hardly find anything, nothing at all, hardly. Especially interviews with players. And G Thacker managed to have two on there, so she had a couple of interviews, one outside of the War Memorial Football Ground, and I think there was one other one as well somewhere. So G was the first person that I really supported because it was the only one that I really knew and
yeah.
heard talk. So I went down to Hingley's when we watched them play against maybe I can't remember. It was in Tier 5, and I watched. I pretty much came to watch G and Andy Fisher. Andy Fisher because I was speaking to him on Twitter because he was a fellow Man United fan, and G Saka because it was the only player that I really knew. I knew people's names, but not anything more than that. And G actually went off injured in that game. An ambulance came at the end of that game to pick up G, and yeah, sod's law is. Anyway, they ended up winning that game, of course. But yeah, G just is, I think, ticks a lot of boxes why she should be in the Hall of Fame. So,
Definitely.
Just your thoughts on that one,
Yeah, I mean,
Kieran?
she is Stourbridge, isn't she? Obviously spent the last couple of years over at Lie, but all in all, she is what epitomises Stourbridge, both obviously on the field and off the field. Yeah, she's an absolute class act. I remember the first time that I sort of knew about G. She was because she is Stourbridge through and through. She was very much associated with the men's side as well. I think she was responsible for doing one or two interviews when we had Ian Long as manager, which was a fair few years ago now. She also did highlights, I think, from a little stand that she'd done for the men's team, which is absolutely fantastic at our level. Um, so yeah, obviously I knew her sort of through that, and then getting more and more into the women's side, realize how much of a pivotal part she is of that as well. And yeah, I think she just, every story that I could think of with G, whether they're appropriate for the podcast or not, just summarizes her to an absolute T, because she's crazy, chaotic, but also the most passionate and
Hmm.
sort of caring person about the club and Stourbridge as a whole and everything to do with that. Yeah, I think player wise, for what they stand for in terms of what they mean to Stourbridge, I'm not sure there's a better first inductee than G, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've done well with that one, John.
You talk about like being a club person as well, and she was obviously she was a coach for the under 12s who saw
Yes.
them right the way through to the under 15s, I think. Maybe like 3 or 4 years with that. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been longer. She worked behind the bar for
Yep.
years as well.
Yep.
As you say, helped with the media side of things. She just loves women's football, and she will be on this channel at some point, or my generic women's football channel, because when me and G talk, we just love listening to each other talk because she's a fan of the game. And I remember saying to her, she was so proud when she managed to get paid to play, because that was her
Yeah.
ambition, just be paid to play. And obviously Andy Fisher was the manager that was able to pay her to play. So yeah, she's achieved absolutely everything that she wanted to do at Stourbridge, I think, and certainly the way it comes across. So yes, so G Thacker is our first inductee into the Glassgirls Network Hall of Fame.
Woo! Yeah, there we go. That's the segment. Hopefully you like it. If you've got any players that you think you would induct into the Hall of Fame, let us know into the comments.
We will put it out. We will put it out at
Yes,
some point. Yeah.
yeah. We'll get a fans inductee as well. Why not? But yeah, that's the little segment. That's going to be the end of every podcast moving forward. Now, we're going to aim for one podcast a month, which sort of equates to 12 new inductees every
Hmm.
year, so we don't sort of run out. We don't want to go a million players in the first episode and have no one left by the second one. But yeah, that's it. That's signed off brilliantly with G Thacker. We've talked for over an hour now. about everything Stourbridge. Just quickly, let's talk about Peterborough coming up. We've mentioned it just slightly already, but
Hmm.
it's going to be a tough one down at the Memorial. However, the league leaders, they won't want to come to the to the
They won't. They
Memorial.
won't.
I'm telling you, especially if it's a a not very nice day.
I hope it's really cold. First of all, I'm not going to the game, so I can say this.
Yeah.
I'll be working, unfortunately. I hope it's really miserable. I hope it's
Yep.
soggy pitch.
Yep.
I hope it's really wet and windy.
Yes.
I hope, no offense, I hope there's no injuries, but I hope that the coach journey is really long for them.
Mhm.
And I think we need every bit of support going forward on that game, because
Absolutely.
Peterborough are top for a reason, aren't they? I don't think they've lost the game of the all season
No.
in the league. And fair play to them, by the way, because remember when we played them about 2 or 3 years ago? I think we played them 3 or 4 times in one season, didn't we? And we got the better of them in that season. We got
Yep.
promoted, but they've certainly stabilised. They've always been in the top 2, top 3 of this league, and rightly so. So as much as I just having a bit of banter there, Peterborough have done absolutely amazing for what they're doing at the moment. And if they were to get promoted, I'd like to think that they've got things behind the scenes that could help them stay in Tier 3 as well.
Mhm.
So good luck to them, but just hope that you lose this game.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the game itself, I want it to be the most horrific game of football I've ever seen. I don't want any pretty play.
No.
I want it in their half. Get the ball up the pitch. The old saying, they can't score in their own half, so just
Yeah.
keep it in there.
Yeah.
Um,
If the ball goes into the fans, just
Yeah.
hang on to it for 10
take your time.
seconds.
Yeah, take your time. No rushing. But yeah, I want it horrible. I want it nasty. And I want a Liv Owen 1-0 winner from a
Oh.
corner. Oh,
So do I. So do I.
there we go. That's the prediction. That's all you're getting from us. Yeah, thank you all for watching this episode of the Glassgirls Network podcast. John, it's been
Yeah.
a pleasure, mate.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done to G.
Well done to G indeed. See you later. Bye.